All right, got 6 weeks-ish until the first real race of the season in Hamburg, Germany. Today we have a long, easy aerobic day. So fueling up, Scuba G1M Sport. I take this like before and after these longer workouts. Just helps with some carbs, some electrolytes. Really good way to kind of get things rolling. So going to talk about what exactly we do for these aerobic days, why it's important, some of my goals that I've been doing in training up until this point for my aerobic sessions, and where I'm going to plan to take it from here. Because it's a little tricky when going into a race like HYROX, where aerobic capacity is so important, but also performing at a high level during your training sessions is like as or more important. So it's like a tough balance that I've been dealing with the past couple of years. So I just want to share everything that I've been doing and what that kind of looks like. Yeah, so yesterday I did a long workout. I actually did a full sim. I usually don't do sims, but I decided I just kind of need to know where I was. Like with the season being so soon, that dog is just like hanging out. Just wants to be part of the action. With the season like being soon, right? It's like I have to know where I'm at. So I usually don't sim just because I don't like the weight of it all. But I did one. It didn't go great. So it was kind of eye-opening with like what I need to do and the aerobic piece kind of comes down to that, like what is actually happening in my training and how it's affecting the actual performance. So something we'll talk about all the way through. I have the Hoka Skyward X. This is the shoe that I will do my longer runs in, especially after I do a hard session. Usually I do like a quality session into a longer aerobic piece. So the workout today is a 60-minute run and then 60-minute bike, all at zone 2, making sure that everything stays aerobic with the goal of just like working on building a bigger base, just breathing for a long time. So that's been the goal for these longer events, these longer pieces. Just about 2 hours is about where I kind of top out. So I want to show you where I've been in terms of my total volume. I have, over the past couple of years, thought about HYROX a couple different ways in terms of how to build and sustain volume and what's important. Last season, I basically did a lot of zone 4 and like measured out like how much zone 4 stuff is needed. This time I'm measuring my zone 2 with my zone 4. So I'm gonna show you exactly what that's been looking like the past couple days. So nothing fancy here, just straight up Google Sheets. I just input it from the Zep app and then I just kind of track it on here as well. So this is several weeks ago. This is this current week. So you can see where it's kind of building my total minutes of zone 2 versus my total minutes of zone 4. So I have the percentage of how much each zone 4 is of the zone 2. And then if you just want to talk about like 80-20 principle, like trying to push that zone 2 up as much as possible so that I can get more zone 4 work in that kind of 80-20, which is something I haven't done. It's like a principle that just kind of works itself out a lot of the times, just like by like what physically feels good, but I'm being a little bit more dialed in terms of actual time spent. So you can see it's about between 450 and 500 minutes, which is between whatever, like 9 and 10 hours of work. So this is the goal for this week, is to get about 530 minutes of zone 2 work in. And that kind of is going to force me to kind of do every single day of training, which I've done in the past. And this is where I need to be careful, is like how much is too much zone 2 so that I start to be too fatigued to do well in the zone 4, which I think is kind of what happened yesterday during the sim. I just wasn't ready to like go hard because there's like a general amount of fatigue. So I'm probably going to build only for another 2 weeks and then start to kind of cut that down. So I'm kind of at my peak volume when it comes to aerobic work, about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks out from Hamburg. So yeah, in terms of like full goals for that, in the past, I've had a hard time with having like just straight up training markers where like, oh, I want to run 80 miles a week, 90 miles a week, whatever. Then I just get obsessed with that number. And that number isn't that important, right? What's more important is how well I feel and how well I'm performing. I want to make sure, and I'm being conscious that I'm not like overdoing it in terms of like, what are my actual goals? My goals are not to hit 600 minutes of zone 2. My goal is to race well, right? And like ideally, like the training metrics will line up so that I do race well, but it can go too far. It can just get like really carried away with like with like just kind of being obsessed with hitting these numbers. So that's something that I really am taking my time and being conscious of. In the past, I would just blast through. I would just be like, I'm hitting this number, because if I don't, I won't hit my total goal. But those goals like don't mean anything if you're not gonna race well. So it's like, what's the point of like having it if it's not going to be around the goal of like getting better at HYROX. So with all that, I am going to push through this week. I'm going to make sure, because it is far enough out, like there's time. And that wake up call of that sim that I did yesterday is like now very much weighing on my brain. So we're just going to take it easy on the building, and we're gonna maintain, and then we're just gonna hit these workouts when they come. We're gonna hit them as hard as we can. 60-minute run today. Goal of zone 2. I monitor everything. I have my heart rate monitor here from Amazfit and the balance 2 from Amazfit. I'm gonna try to stay within zone 2 the entire time. For me, when I'm fatigued like this, it's honestly more challenging to get into zone 2 than to like stay out of zone 3, if that makes sense. Too often people will just like push on these easy runs and they'll be up into zone 3 when it's like a little bit too much, when it doesn't really do that much aerobically different for you than just like regular zone 2. Like low end zone 2 and mid zone 3 in terms of what's happening for your aerobic fitness is basically the same, but zone 2 is just easier on your body, right? That's kind of the distinction. That's why they call zone 3 kind of gray zone. When I'm tired like this, takes me a minute to even just like get into zone 2. So my heart rate is what I'm gonna be aiming for is about like 110. My heart rate runs pretty low. If I can be in that 110, 120-ish range for this run, that'd be awesome. What that means in terms of pace, I don't know. It's gonna probably be between 720s or 430 kilometers or something like that. I'm gonna get a little over 8 miles and about 500 feet of gain on this beautiful day here in Colorado. Shirtless, gotta do it. Said it's nice, so all right, we're just gonna get things banged on this microphone. All right, first K down, 430 on the nose. Heart rate's gotten up to like 109. Took a little bit less time than I thought it would to get to zone 2, which is great. Heart rate's responding well. Physically, I'm tired, but not as much as I thought I'd be after a full sim. It's hot out. It's like 91. 91 in Colorado is not the same as 91 as places with humidity. I actually think it feels kind of nice. All right, just hit 5K, around 22:30-ish. Starting to go uphill. So I'd get about just under 500 feet. So we're about 6.7K in. We did a lot of the runs. So check us out. See a little prairie dog hanging out? What's up, dude? Probably squeak. There he goes. So I did want to show you the prairie dog, but also want to show you the views. Not everywhere in Colorado is mountains, but you can see them from pretty much anywhere. This is called Stanley Lake. Right out there those are the Flatirons right in Boulder. Awesome trail network there. It's really great living here and having all this access to really, really cool things. That's why I like this run so much. The views are amazing. It's a little bit of a trail. Like this lake it's a reservoir, but you don't get a lot of water features out here. But man, yeah, this is like, you can't beat it. You really can't when it comes to just like easy running. We're right around 36 minutes for 8K. Heart rate currently 107. All right, final stretch. All right, so that's a wrap on that run. We had 12.92 kilometers, averaging 425 per kilometer, 57 minutes, average heart rate 114, average cadence, steps per minute, 176. Happy with that as well. Gained 173 meters. I think that's just under 500. Perfect. So we're gonna get back onto that bike as soon as possible. That C2 bike over there, doing this thing. Let's get a little airflow going. In case you didn't notice, we lost our cameraman, videographer extraordinaire, Sterling. I was like, zone 2's a little bit boring. So yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. I'll see you later. So I'm gonna pop on this bike for about 60 minutes. Got my G1M on ice over here. G1M Sport. Got this bottle coming out soon, ready to drink. And there's gonna be a G1M Sport Plus, as well as the caffeine version of G1M Sport. This is delicious. I don't know exactly when it's gonna drop, but soon. So be on the lookout for that. All right, we are about 10 minutes into this ride, going nowhere. Heart rate's around 107, watts around 220. I don't know anything about cycling. C2 bike, I don't know if that's similar. I know my heart rate's about 10 beats less than running. I've been adding this a lot more because the heart rate is a little bit lower. So although it's still like aerobic, it doesn't seem like it could be as demanding as running. So I like that. I like that there's no impact and you can just kind of sit here. I was able to kind of work through a lot of like the muscular fatigue early. Now I can sit here for quite a bit of time
So we're gonna keep rolling. 48 minutes left. Just over 30 minutes. Still plugging away, same kind of heart rate. Drank all of my G1M Sport. I'm gonna pull out the second bottle. It's on a hot day like this. I found that like being able to take in calories on a bike is just like more simple than on a run, and like the energy is like noticeable about halfway through. Yeah, it's kind of boring. All right, we did it. 60 minutes on the nose. I'm good with that. All right, I'm gonna get a snack, get a little mobility in, call it a day.